As Zimbabwe spurs towards economic growth by revitalizing agriculture and the agro-processing value chain, the Zimbabwe Association of Dairy Farmers, ZADF, is working with its members and stakeholders to drive up productivity and growth in the dairy farming industry, with a growth target set at 5% per annum. However, bottlenecks such as viability and competition from imported milk continue to hinder growth. According to the International Farm Comparison Network report of 2015, Zimbabwe has the highest production costs globally, with a cost of $59.50 per 100 kilograms of milk, compared to the global average of less than $40. In 2015, ZADF carried out extensive member consultations to hear the views, problems, and aspirations of its members. The exercise had two main objectives, mainly defining the dairy production models existent in Zimbabwe and analyzing the major milk production cost drivers and their bearing on viability. Our survey revealed the following four major dairy production models. Subsistence scale dairy farmers. These are described as smallholder household farms, usually with a herd of 3, and has 100% family-based unpaid labor. Subsistence farming generally yields 5.2 kilograms of milk per day from an average of 1.5 lactating cows a day. The primary purpose for production is for household food and nutrition security, and excess milk is sold for cash income at informal rural markets for between 60 cents to $1 per litre. Small-scale farmers, on the other hand, are small multi-enterprise family farms with a herd of around 7.5 animals. Small-scale farming labor is generally 75% family-based, with the household size and age profile determining the need for labor investment. Small-scale dairy farming generally yields 7.1 kilograms of milk per day from an average of 3 lactating cows at each given time. The intermediate-scale farmers are dominated by family farms, but also emergent businesses and growing small-scale farms where the average herd is 31 and the primary driver is to make profit. Production yields are generally around 12.5 kilograms of milk per day from an average of 16 cows, 11 of which are in lactation on a given day. Large-scale farms are often integrated producer-processor businesses, but they also serve as producer farms, supplying independent processors at between 50 to 58 cents per litre. In our survey of the cost per litre of milk for typical and efficient farms, small-scale and large-scale typical farms are making very marginal returns of 0.01 cents compared to 0.14 cents and 0.08 cents in efficient small-scale and large-scale farms. Subsistence farms have a negative net margin of minus 6 cents out of a possible 9 cents. The cost per cow for typical subsistence scale farms has a negative net margin of minus $70, while the typical small and large-scale sectors are making very marginal returns of $20 per cow. Net margins per cow are higher in the intermediate scale at $255 per cow. Overall, higher herd sizes have lower margins but enjoy greater economies of scale. In terms of cost structure per cow per year for typical farms, feed costs make up more than 50% of total costs per cow in all segments, with the exception of subsistence farms, which are at 46% of the total cost. Feed costs increase with scale as farmers try to push up yields. In a nutshell, typical farms are making negative or very marginal returns, with production costs at 46 to 64 cents per litre of milk, $720 to $2,800 per cow per annum, feed costs of 28 to 42 cents per litre of milk, and labor costs of 7 to 16 cents per litre of milk. This situation has resulted in chronic viability challenges for the industry. However, scope exists to improve margins through feed and labor efficiencies as evidenced from efficient farms. So what do we need to ensure our survival and growth? To survive, we all need to contribute to cost reductions and become efficient. All players in the dairy value chain have a part to play. It is the farmer's responsibility to work on efficiencies such as reducing calf mortality, feed conversion ratios, as well as the intercalving period. Regulatory and compliance agencies need to streamline and simplify compliance procedures. Input suppliers have to reduce prices in line with reduced milk income, as well as introduce modern technologies of feed production. Utilities have a role to play in improving service delivery and introducing sustainably renewable energy solutions. The role of the government is to carry out sector-wide consultations for policy development, such as proposed new VAT ratings. In addition, there is need for policy clarity and consistency on issues such as security of tenure to enable growth and development. Donors and NGOs have to support a coordinated approach to dairy development and utilize existing local structures that enable continuity in the long term for the industry. The ZADF has the task of assessing production systems and producing national benchmarks in order to give farmers guidelines on the most efficient systems. An analysis of the South African and Zimbabwean dairy environment is required in order to identify areas where we are paying more than our counterparts in South Africa and why. It is the intention of the ZADF to foster a conducive and profitable operating environment for its members by urging all stakeholders to take practical steps and meaningfully contribute to Zimbabwe's economic growth.